Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Saturday. We are halfway through the final international break of 2025. This time next week, the Premier League will be back. Arsenal, of course, having to wait another day though until Sunday for that massive game against Spurs at the Emirates. Almost nice in a way that we've got another week to prepare for this. 43 years old now, been supporting Arsenal for what, I don't know, 37 of those years. Still hate the North London derby. Still hate the feeling of nauseousness going up to it. As much as I love the result normally, certainly in recent years, just that absolute fear of not getting the result. Just it makes it the least enjoyable game of the year for me. This one, it always is the same. Doesn't matter how old I get. But anyway, we've got over a week until we have to prepare ourselves for that. But we've still got a bit to talk about today. It is pretty quiet. We'll round up the latest international action. There was a bit of involvement for Arsenal last night in the international stage. Going to be a lot more today, including at the Emirates, of course. Brazil playing. Gabriel going to be in action there. Not far for him to travel, thankfully. Been training at London Colney this week as well. So we're going to talk about that. Got other bits and pieces that you guys have got in touch about. But I wanted to start today's show talking about Eberechi Eze, who obviously is in the headlines at the moment because of the goal that he scored. As much as certain people try to give the credit for his goal to a very short and normal pass from Phil Foden, there is still a lot of headlines about Eze. He's been talking as well after that goal about Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, Thomas Tuchel, how he thinks that he's improving under both of those managers. We'll look at some comments that he's had to say, but also in terms of his best position, because I think that has come into the conversation again because of what he did when he came off the bench in midweek, playing off the left-hand side. Now, he's been filling in really, really well in a central area for Arsenal in the absence of Martin Odegaard, playing more as a 10, but kind of as a right 8. I sort of view it more as a 10 when I look at how Arsenal are playing at the moment for Eze, but he does drift over to that right a little bit more, I think, than seeing him drift over to the left. And he's been doing it well. It's not his best position, in my view. And I think when we saw him come on against Serbia in midweek, and we saw what he did from that left-hand side when he's given a little bit of space, the trouble he can cause, the chaos he can cause, the quality he has with that right foot bending a shot like that into the far corner. I think it's a sort of tantalising prospect of what are we going to see from Eze when not when he gets back, but when Martin Odegaard gets back. Now, a couple of you have got in touch about this. I'll just go through what you've been saying. En Lawal here has got in touch in response to something I said yesterday, where saying I think he's probably best over on that left-hand side, the left wing, kind of in the Leandro Trossard role. And Lawal says, I disagree. I think Eze would look better in the left zone with 2 number 10s. He's not a left wing. He's more of a left attacking mid. Palace had Mitchell as a left wing back to hold the left-hand side and Gahey playing left centre-back. Eze had the freedom to float in the 10 spaces behind Mateta. Amorim plays a very similar formation, and we wouldn't call Cunha a left winger either. Tuchel was very fond of the same 3-4-3 with Havertz and Mount behind the centre forward. Neither of those are wide men. I generally think if you moved Eze from the right centre midfield space into the left central midfield space, you'd see a far better production. Keep up the good work. With some interesting stuff there from Enwao. And Luca, my boy, says, my question is due to Trossard's good start to the season and his intelligence on the pitch. Mikel obviously trusts him very highly, so he won't be dropped from the 11. But would you or Mikel consider Eze off the left and Trossard in the 10? I know you didn't like him in midfield 3, but this would be a more advanced role and set the press similar to Odegaard does when he's fit. I'm just thinking the positives from Eze on the left outweighs that of Trossard on the left, and it would be worth a try. Cheers. So both interesting sort of views there on Eze and how Arsenal could potentially get the best out of him once Martin Odegaard comes back. Look, I think he's going to continue to deputise for Martin Odegaard. If Odegaard's not fit for the game against Tottenham on Sunday, then I think Eze's going to play there in that same position we've seen. But when he does come back, that really raises the question of what do you do with Eze? Now, I think we've got to get out of our minds as well that there's going to be this sort of guaranteed starting 11. I think the squad that Mikel has built means that we don't have that guaranteed starting 11, or we certainly shouldn't when everyone is fit. When you're going to add Odegaard, Madueke, Havertz, Jesus into the mix, it's very hard there to say, I tell you what, this is our definite starting 11 for these games. So there is going to be rotation there. But I think when everyone's fit and Odegaard's in that position that Odegaard is going to play in, the Odegaard role, I think Eze in the sort of Trossard. Now, who was it? Was it Enwar was talking about Palace when he was kind of did his best football in that sort of left central area, which I agree with absolutely. I do think, we saw him more towards the touchline with Palace, a lot more than we've seen him for Arsenal so far, obviously. But you're right, obviously they play the left wing back and Mitchell does get down the left hand side, and Eze cutting in on that right foot is where we saw him do an awful lot of damage for Crystal Palace. But I think the Trossard role in this team that Arsenal played, Trossard's not a touchline winger at all. He is given freedom to come inside into those central areas, like we saw against Sunderland for the goal. Cut inside, Calafiori get on the overlap, create some space, Eze cut inside. So I think the Trossard role is actually perfect for Eze in this team. But as Luca, my boy, says, Trossard has been playing very, very well. So this is a lovely position for Mikel Arteta to be in. But I think that is a position that Eze will play. I don't see him playing in that left central role because, look, Declan Rice is going to play there. Even if we're seeing more of a sort of double pivot when it comes to the midfield. But I don't see a way that we're going to have Zubimendi, Rice, and then Eze playing in the central position. I just don't see it. It's going to be the sort of double pivot with Odegaard, or it's going to be the Zubimendi on his own with Odegaard and Rice together. So I think the Eze role is going to be more on that left-hand side for me. But Trossard is playing very, very well. So it's a difficult situation. It's a difficult decision for Mikel Arteta to make when everyone's fit. But this is why you've built this squad, for it to be a difficult decision, because that's a good decision. It's a nice decision. It's an amazing position of strength for Arsenal to be in. And Eze will play sometimes in a central role, I'm sure. But I do think once Odegaard's back, we're going to see him more transition over to that left-hand side. And it'll be very interesting just to watch it develop and see where he finds a real sort of place in this Arsenal team. I do think, even with Trossard's fantastic form at the moment, that if everyone's fit and everyone's playing well and it's a really crucial game, say Arsenal go to the Etihad or Arsenal are at home in the Champions League semi-final to PSG again or something like that, and everyone's fit and available, I think Eze would start on the left-hand side and Trossard would be on the bench, in my view, if everyone's fit and Odegaard would be in the middle. But I'd love to get your thoughts on it. What do you do with Eze? How do you get the best out of Eze? What is his best position? Does he have a best position? Let me know your thoughts on it, please, in the comments below. Right, in terms of international action, the Netherlands are going to have to wait a little bit longer to guarantee qualification for the World Cup. Was close to happening yesterday, but didn't quite. They drew 1-1 with Poland. Jurien Timber playing as a centre-back again next to Virgil van Dijk in that game. He was the only Arsenal involvement in international action last night, but we've got plenty today. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the list there for Saturday. So we've got Trossard, who we've already spoken about in this show. Belgium playing Kazakhstan. Then we've got Brazil in action at the Emirates, of course, against Senegal. Enjoy that game if you're going to go and head down and watch that. The Spain boys are all in action. So Marino looking to continue his unbelievable scoring run for the Spanish national team. Zubimendi and Raya, they're in action. Spain travel to Georgia, and then you've got Christian Norgard. Denmark are at home to Belarus, and then it all starts again tomorrow with France, England back in action at Albania, and we'll see if Ricardo Calafiori makes it for Italy's crunch game against Norway. Although I say a crunch game, unless something absolutely remarkable happens, Norway will be qualifying for the World Cup no matter what Italy managed to do. It's got to be a 9-goal swing in that one for Italy to go through. So fingers crossed everyone gets through this unscathed. Like I said, enjoy the game if you're going to Brazil versus Senegal today at the Emirates. I know plenty of people are doing that. It should be a really fun day. I've seen Brazil in action at the Emirates before, and it is always a really good fun day. And you get to see Gabriel. No Martinelli, of course, but you will get to see Gabriel in action. Also a big weekend for the women. Of course, looking to bounce back from that really disappointing defeat in the Champions League against Bayern when they managed to throw away a 2-goal lead with 25 minutes remaining to lose 3-2, to leave their Champions League hope hanging a little bit by a thread, certainly in the balance. Good way to respond this weekend, of course, against Tottenham in the North London derby at Spurs. A Spurs team who are playing very, very well this season, started the season well, look strong. So it's going to be a challenge for Arsenal. Rennie Slegers talking about it yesterday in a press conference. No Leah Williamson still. Slegers was saying she is now back training, but still going to be a little bit of time before they're ready to bring her back in after the knee injury, bring her back into the side. They've got to make sure she's fit and ready. No doubt Arsenal missing Leah. I don't see a way that Arsenal can see those 3 goals without Leah. With Leah in the side against Bayern, they just needed that little bit of leadership and quality at the back that they didn't have. So the sooner she comes back into the fold, the better. But this is a big one for the women and for Rennie Slegers. I think can't afford to be losing to Spurs in this game. So good luck to them. Right, we'll go through a few of your comments and questions now before we wrap this one up. Lots of you getting in touch about Gabriel Jesus. He certainly seems to stir up a lot of debate whenever I mention Jesus. He was obviously talking yesterday. I went through the quotes that he said when, again, he reiterated his desire to stay at Arsenal, will not be going in January. He says will at some point go back to Palmeiras, but January is not going to be the time. He called out some of the journalists who have been reporting that story. Internet Cafe Break says the fact that we are still playing Marino as 9 shows we need Jesus this season. Who cares about his wages? It's not our money, and we'd likely have to subsidise them anyway. If he went on loan to Brazil, absolutely couldn't agree more. Internet Cafe Break, thanks for getting in touch. Chris says, hi, Charles, I agree. Keep Jesus. We need as many options as possible. Our injury record is ridiculous and doesn't look like stopping. Use Jesus as our League Cup striker to keep Victor and Kai fresh for the Premier League and Europe. He is a great option off the bench when chasing a goal against a low block. Chris, again, agree. I don't think we've got a better forward against a low block than Gabriel Jesus when he's fit and firing and in top form. Guna72 says, I don't want Gabby Jesus to be sold. He can make a difference in many games, in particular the Champions League, where he seems to excel indeed. Loves it in the Champions League. Gabriel Jesus got a fantastic record for City and for Arsenal in the Champions League. Bag full of experience. Will be the only Premier League title winner in the squad. When he does come back fit, can use all that experience, can use his quality if he gets himself up to speed. Again, can only reiterate what I've said many a times before. Would not even consider getting rid of him in January. In the summer, fine. In January, with 6 months left to play this season, where we are desperate to get over the line, why would you consider moving him on? As Internet Cafe Break says, it's not our money. They're not going to go and sign a replacement in January if they let Gabriel Jesus go. So what good is 10, 15 million pounds or saving 150 grand a week in wages going to do between now and the end of the season? Nothing for us as fans, but a goal might do the difference. 2 goals might do the difference. And Gabriel Jesus could be the guy to get those. If he wins 3 points for Arsenal, that could be the difference from winning the league or not. So thank you very much for everyone getting involved there. This is one from Harrison, and quite a few people have said this as well, saying on Lewis Skelly not getting a call up for the England senior squad, why did he not get selected for the under-21s instead with Easton? I mean, it's a good point. I don't have an answer for it, unfortunately. I mean, but it is a very good point. You know, if Thomas Tuchel's so keen on Miles Lewis Skelly getting minutes, why didn't he say, okay, you can go to the under-21s? Maybe he did. Maybe Miles said he didn't want to do it. I don't know. I just don't have an answer to it. Maybe the under-21s coach was like, you know what, I've got my sort of left back sorted here. I don't really want a player coming in just for maybe one camp and then going out again. It's not going to do us or me any good when I'm trying to prepare for the next European Championships, for example. So maybe that was a decision that was reached. So I don't really know. I just don't have an answer to it. From an Arsenal point of view, look, I'm not massively bothered. It's like, do you want Miles to just have a nice little break now, or do you want him to go for the under-21s? From an Arsenal point of view, well, a break's probably better for him than under-21s. But then again, you can look at it and say, well, he hasn't played much football this season, so the minutes will do him good. It'll get his sharpness up, and it means he's better when he will be called into the Arsenal team. So it's a good point, Harrison, and you're not the only person to make it. I have to say, I wish I could sit here right now and give you a definitive answer in terms of why that was the case, but I can't. Unfortunately, I can only sort of presume, and I've tried to do that, but who knows? Maybe it will come out after the international break what has gone on there. And that is it from me. Just a short, sharp one today. Enjoy the start to your weekends. Enjoy your Saturdays, everyone. I'll be back to round up everything tomorrow morning. Again, until then, have a great day. Anything you want me to discuss in tomorrow's show, please do get down in touch in the comments. Leave your opinion, your comment, anything like that, and I'll pull something together as always and get them included in the show. Take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.